Hello everyone. Welcome to the Rookie Analyst Microsoft Excel for Personal Data Analysis course series. And today we'll be looking at data analysis tools and features in Excel. Particularly, we'll be looking at how to analyze data using pivot tables and also how to create pivot charts, and most importantly, how to use the analyzer feature to automatically insert pivot tables and charts from within Excel. Let's dive right in. Here is the dataset that we are going to be analyzing using pivot tables. And if you would like to follow along, I've included the download link to this sample dataset in the description if you're watching from YouTube. And you can also access this from your LMS by going to classwork or materials. So first off, you have to have an overview of your dataset. Your dataset in the format that you can analyze. Is it clean? So you need to prep your data. So if we look at this data quickly, we could see that it has some empty spaces, and also this is just the header, and then it's also appearing twice, and we want to clean that. And particularly at the end of the data, I personally included this last data here, which we may want to convert into column. So for this, all we need to do is just come over to our data, and then we'll make use of the text to columns. So when we put text to columns, this is going to automatically change this data in the format that other data are in. So once we click on text to column, we check the delimited box, and then the next thing we're going to do is to press on next, and we have to see it's separated by spaces. So this is already checked, but if it's not checked, you just have to check it, and you can see that it's already separated. If we did not check on the spaces, it's still going to appear just the same thing as it is right now, as you can see here. So we just select the spaces here, and we select next, and then we click on finish, and then our data automatically changes. Now we have this part is clean. The other thing we may want to do is just to remove the empty spaces here. So once we remove the empty space, you could just easily do this by right clicking and then delete. And then we also don't need this, we right click or we delete. So this data set is clean and ready to be analyzed. However, you could use Power Query to clean your data set. You can refer to the previous lesson we've had on transformation of data using Power Query. So now, before we dive into pivot tables, we have some couple of questions that you may want to ask, which is questions like, how many orders did we record from each customers, or how much revenue is Tip Top Taste restaurant generating from each customers? To start with here, we could just use the knowledge we've already had from previous lessons, which is the pivot, which is formulas and functions to answer these particular questions. For instance, if we want to calculate the revenue for each of these customers, we could make use of the SUMIF. So just for recap, we could equal to, and then let's launch our function dialog box, and then we select the SUMIFs here. Is already selected, and once we select our sum range. What is the range that we want to create sum of? Is definitely our revenue, so we highlight revenue. The next is the criteria range. What is our criteria? The criteria is going to be either the customer ID or the customer name. So let's try to use the customer ID, for instance. We have the customer ID, then we have the next is the criteria one, and then we select this here, and we click on OK. And this is going to give us a sum of all the revenue for each customers. And we want it to apply for all other customers or the customer IDs. We select this. So now we're answering these questions. From this, you could easily determine which customer has the highest revenue. And in the same vein, if you want to calculate the orders by customers, we could make use of a formula, COUNTIFS, right? So we could use of COUNTIFS. So to just make it easy, let's launch this, and we have COUNTIFS here. And then we click on OK, and then we select what is our criteria range, so that we want to calculate for the COUNTIFS. Our criteria range is definitely going to be the customer ID, right? So we select the customer ID, and then our criteria is going to be just this customer ID here, and where we click on OK, and then we drag this here. We could build our table using formulas and functions, and we could just convert this to a table by using what Control T, and then we'll click on OK, and we have this in form of a table. But you may have a lot of other questions that you want to answer. So does that mean you have to continually build formulas and functions to answer this? Definitely is going to be time consuming. Exactly. So instead of this, we could use what is called pivot tables, which only require you to simply drag and drop. You don't need to have the knowledge of formulas or functions before you could use pivot tables. And in fact, if you could watch till the end of this lesson, you're going to see how you could even do that automatically. But now let's build it on our own. So let's first off, before we be able to use the pivot tables, you have to convert your data set to a table. So let's I'll just control Z and then I'll leave this as a table, right? So we'll just leave this as it is. So now the first thing is you may want to convert this to a table first for you to be able to work with pivot tables. So you highlight the dataset range, and once you highlight the dataset range, you click on insert and you select table, or better still, you click you make use of Control T, and once you use Control T, it automatically select this. So you could change the design of your tables, but that's not what we're really after. We're really after analyzing this particular data set with uh, pivot tables. So to use pivot table, all we need to do is just select anywhere in the table and you click on insert and you see pivot table here. So you click pivot table here, and then you're going to have the dialog box for the pivot table that's going to pop up. But before then, you may as well even like to just summarize this data with pivot tables automatically. We're going to see that at the end of this video. So now let's insert our pivot table. So once you click on pivot table, you're going to have this pane for pivot table, which is going to automatically select your range. Here you have showing table 2. So it's a good practice for you to name your tables so that you know the exact table that you're working on. So we're going to cancel this and we'll come to table design, and then we'll come over to table name and we're going to name this table. So we're going to name this table sales data, and then we'll click on enter. So this has been named automatically. So now let's go back and insert our pivot table. So you click on insert, you select your pivot table, and now you see it changes to sales data. So this is particularly recommended if you have a lot of tables that you are dealing with or you are going to analyze. So it's important you name your table or your range so it's going to be easy for you to select. Now in pivot tables, there are two things for you to really know is, do you want a pivot table to appear on the same worksheet or you want it to appear on a new worksheet? If you want it on a new worksheet, all you just need to do is just click on OK, and automatically your pivot tables appear on a new worksheet. If you want it in an existing worksheet, you just have to select this and then you select the location that you want. I know we've already seen this in one of our live sessions. So, but let's just work with a new worksheet so that we could have a full view of what is happening here. So let's click on OK, and then it automatically opens in a new worksheet. So now to answer some of the questions here, you can see we have filters here, we have columns here, we have rows here, and you have values here. So all you need to do is to drag fields. In pivot tables, each of the columns we had in our table are called fields in pivot tables. So the first thing we want to see is that we want to recreate this particular table we've created with formulas and functions, right? So we're going to try to recreate it back here, and the first thing we want to do is just to drag our revenue here to the values here. So usually you drag the fields or the columns that you want to analyze, that you want to measure, that are usually numbers that are measurable, you put them in values. And you could change this to either sum, you could change your value fields by coming to value settings, you could change it from sum, count, average. So we're talking about total here, so we'll leave it as sum. That's what we want. So do you want it by customer ID? If you want it by customer ID and you have this and it summarizes, and you can see just by simply dragging and drop, we have the same thing as what we have here. And if you want it as just by the name, right, you could, if you want customer name too, you could just do this, and it's going to split it by customer ID to show you the customer ID and the name. So we just have to take one out of this, and then to make it clean, let's leave our customer name. So we have this, and then it gives you the grand total easily. So you may notice that our values for sum of revenue are actually cost, which are not having a currency associated with it. So what we would like to do is just to right click on this And once we right click, and then you're going to see the number format. And once you see the number format, you select the currency. You select the currency type, you make adjustments. So we probably want it in pounds. If you don't want it in pounds, maybe it's in dollars. You select dollars. So we will leave it in pounds and we click on OK. And then this changes here. Now, the next thing we may want to do is also to have the count of orders. We may want to know how many orders was made by Aliyu or Dakwa or Esther or Bola or what have you. So all you just need to do is just to drag the order ID, just drag it down to the fields, and it automatically calculates the number of orders. So now, when we check this table that we have here, with what we already did with formulas and functions, we could see that it's exactly the same thing that we've done. So, but here all we have to do in pivot tables is just to click on it, and this is even more visually appealing. And the good thing about this is you could even change the design if you wanted to appear, change the color, but if you want it to be the same thing or the normal one, or if you want the banded columns to appear here, you could just select this, or you want to have banded rows, you could just select this and then do as much as you like. If you don't want the totals to, you could toggle off and on the totals by just click on off and then the totals goes off. And if we still want it on, then you come back here and you on the totals we wanted. Now, another interesting thing is you may want to just change this row label. Doesn't really make sense. Just right click on it and then control all, and then you change, you type it on, you have customer name. And once you press this enter, this changes automatically easily. So another thing is here, count of order. We do the same thing. We make it what number of orders. We make this number of orders. Yeah, and then we have this filter button here. You may easily use this to filter, and you want to just filter to just see only orders that are made by Aliyu, Bola, and Chidi. Just select Aliyu, Bola, and Chidi, and you click on OK, and then this filters. And if you want to take that off, you select all, and then you click on OK. So another thing you may want to do is you may even like to sort. So if you want to sort this in form of to just say the highest orders, all you need to do is just to right click on this, and then you're going to see your sorts, and then you click on sorts from largest to smallest. And when you click this, and we can easily see the highest, you could see the customer that has the highest revenue or that has the highest order, and that has the highest revenue. And if you want to filter by orders, all you need to do is just to come over here, and then you right click on the order, and then you sort from largest to smallest, and it filters with orders. And if you want to do this from customer name by customer name, all you need to just to do from Z to A or from A to Z. So you select this, and then you have this, which is what we have originally. And another beautiful thing is you could promote a particular customer. For instance, we want to promote Darkward to appear as a first customer regardless of the number of orders or number of revenue it has generated for TikTok this restaurant. All you need to do is just right click on this, and then you see a place where it says it's move. So do you want to move it to the beginning, or you want to move it up or move it down? So we want to move it to the beginning, and then we click on this, and it automatically moves that to the beginning. So regardless of the number of orders that it has. So again, we'll just want to just sort or filter this from largest to smallest, and then we'll leave this. So another thing I would like to show us here with pivot tables is you may want to replicate a particular pivot table. All you need to just to copy this, and then you paste it here, and you have another version of the pivot table. That is super easy and super smooth, right? Another thing you may want to do is you may want to see how the customers perform with respect to the product, or you want to filter this entire pivot tables. All you need to do is to drag your product, and then you put it in filters, and you can see here, so it's going to filter this table. All you need to do is just to select on this, and then you select the item you want to filter. If you want to see for burger, you click on OK, and then it only shows the sum of revenue and the number of orders for burger alone. And if you want to multiple select, all you need to do is select multiple, click on the select multiple items, and then you click we want to see for burger, chicken, and fries, and we select all those three, and it's going to show us all the orders only for the affected pivot tables. And you can see this pivot table here we have it's unchanged, while this one remains as it is. And assuming you don't want to have that anymore, all you need to do is just drag this back, and then it automatically goes off, and then this comes up as you want it to be. So another thing you may want to do is if you want to have a percentage of the revenue, which we're moving a step further, we are moving steps further beyond what we have started with in form of the formulas and functions. So now in pivot tables, you could as well just bring the sum, where's the revenue? Bring the revenue here now, and want it to have it in form of percentage. All we need to do is just to right click on this place here, and then you're going to see show values as, and then you're going to see it as percentage of the column total. And once you click this, it's going to show you the percentage of each of this. So you could easily see the amount of the percentage revenue that has been generated by each customers, and we could see that Chidi generated the highest revenue, about 15%. So now you may just want to you can just go click on this, and then you can see the value field settings, and you could just change the customer name or change any other thing you want to change from here. And if it's just the name only you want to change, you may just type right there and you just put percentage revenue. So that's not all about pivot table. There's still many other things you could do here in your pivot tables, which include, you may want to even split the customer by this. You may just want to you may split the product by each customer. You want to see the products that is being ordered by each customer instead of having it as a filter that we have initially. But before then, we may just want to take out this revenue here now. Let's just take out this revenue. We take sorry about that. Let's control Z. So where is the sum of revenue? We want to take this up. Yeah, we take this out now. We don't need that. So now we may just want to see the product. We just have to drag this here. Okay, you can see here, because we already have this here that's taking up the space, so we may just want to copy this up and then put it somewhere here, or let's say somewhere here. So then we come back to this particular sheet, and then let's drag the revenue here. This should work now. So initially this was actually covering the space that we may want to use for, so let's put it here so we could just see, and then we could make reference to it. Okay, cool. So you can see now we've just added our product to each of the customers. So we could see Esther, out of all the products that we had, Esther ordered 5 of this product, and it shows the corresponding revenue and also the corresponding number of orders for each of the products. And you can see everywhere here you can compare and contrast. So you could do a lot of other things with your pivot tables. But another thing I would like to mention here is the fact that from a pivot table you could easily transform into a pivot chart. And how do you do that? All you need to do is to come over here. You come to pivot analyze, for instance, and then you could see pivot charts here. There are many ways for you to insert a pivot chart into your data. This is one of the ways, by coming to pivot table analyze, and you click on pivot chart, and then you could see you're going to select the kind of chart that you want. If you want we want to have a bar chart, you could select a bar chart, and then it shows you, it's visualized exact, you can see here. So if we should take out the products in this particular pivot table, is automatically going to reflect here in the pivot chart itself. So another way you could insert a pivot chart from a pivot table, so I'm going to take this one out, delete, is by coming to insert here. And once you come to insert, you're going to see pivot chart. And once you select a pivot chart, it will is going to ask you to select the pivot, the range that you want to select it from. So that's another way for you to insert a pivot chart. But you could just easily do this by also pressing from here. You could just press Alt and F1, and it automatically inserts a pivot table for you. So let's go back to our pivot table, bring back our product here. You may want to collapse each one of this. So this is what I really want to show us. So you could collapse to show just one, or collapse everything, and then you just have this total here. And you could see wherever you or your client, or you want to see just for Aliyu alone, you click on this plus sign and it shows you for Aliyu. And you could also do that for every other ones. And if you don't need this, you could just take this out straight away. So I think I'll just remove one of this pivot table so we won't have any obstructions if you still want to show any other thing. So let's try to see what will happen if you have our product here in columns. So instead of in rows, remember. So when you look at your pivot tables, it shows the same thing as what you have here in your fields. As you can see, customer name here is appearing in rows, and we have it here in rows. We have our product here is appearing in the columns, and that is what we have in columns. And we also have the values that was already the sum we already added, which is the number of orders. So at the same time, if you want this to appear in rows, we bring it back to rows, and then we have it back to what we have initially, and we could expand, 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 and expand as much as we like. And if we're done, we don't need that anymore, we could just take this back. So now let's go back to another thing, which is our pivot chart. So let's assume you want to bring back our chart. All you need to do is just select our chart here, and then we have it here. So from here you could also do most other things, and if you had this here, it automatically reflects here. And we take this out, it's off. We take this sum of orders out, this also goes off, and it only shows for just the customer name and the sum of revenue. And you can see here, you could see the trend. You could edit this chart as much as you like, or you could even change the style by coming here. And in the next lesson, we're going to be looking at visualization and reporting, and how you can format how you can create charts in Excel, and how to create a live dashboard. So stay tuned to the next lesson in the Microsoft Excel. So in that lesson, we're going to see how we could do a lot of all of this formatting. So until then, I would like to show something else here in our pivot table, which is you could come over here to pivot analyzer, and then you see insert slicer. So the slicer is really an important way, a more important and slicky way of filtering your data set. So once we insert a slicer here, you want to see what do you want to slice this data set with. Do you want to slice the data set by products? Then you just click on OK, and then we have our products here. So you can see it has all the products here. So you have all the products here. All you need to do is just to select. Once we select this, it filters. And once you select this, it filters. And if you want to select multiple, you press your control, and then you can see now we're selecting multiple. And then it automatically filters the entire data set. And if you want to take out the filters you had, you just remove it, and then you have our data the way it's appearing. So you can move your filters up and down anyhow much you like it, anyhow you like it. So another thing here you may want to do with pivot table is you may even want to insert a timeline if you have a date. So we're also going to look at this properly when we come to data visualization in Excel. So you could just insert your timeline here. So now with our pivot tables here, we may want to look at the next part of pivot table, which is, let's go back to our original data. So you have just seen how to build a pivot table. Yeah, let's see how to calculate. Assuming you want to see, so I'm going to take out this slicer, and I'm going to take out this chart we've built here. So now imagine you want to have another field here, which is the profit. You want to see the profit that has been made. Here we're only seeing revenue. There's revenue, and then there's the unit sold, or which is the cost. We have the cost, right? So we want to calculate our profit, which is not part of our original data, and then you want to calculate this. How do you do that? We can simply do this by adding a calculated field in our pivot tables. And how do we do that? All you need to do is to ensure that your mouse is in the pivot table itself. You come to pivot table analyze, and you come over to fields. And once you come to fields here, you select this drop down icon, and then you're going to select the calculated field. And once you click on calculated field, you're going to insert a formula to calculate your profit, which is going to be your revenue minus the cost. So we're going to name our field, the new field, we're going to call it profit. And then the formula is going to be, and you don't even have to type node. All you need to do is just to know what you want to do, and then how to do it will not be a big deal. So we're going to insert the field, which is going to be our revenue here. Insert this field here, and then we have our minus, and then we're going to have our cost here. And then we insert the field, and then we click on add, and then we click on OK, and then it automatically appears here. So here we have the sum of our profit by this. So you could do much more sophisticated calculated fields or analysis here in your pivot tables, and the beauty of this is that it does not affect your original data source. So you can see here we cannot, there's no way for you to see the profit, which is the column we just added, but it's only appearing here in the pivot table that we already created. So now the next one we want to see now is in pivot table, Excel has this intelligence feature that helps to determine or to decipher what you may like or what you may want to do. And one of those features for data analysis in Excel is the recommended pivot tables. So once we click on this recommended pivot tables now, you can see the pivot table we build initially, which is what we have customer name by revenue. Excel automatically selected this for us as a suggested pivot table for us. If this is what we want to do, all we need to, what we want is just about we clicking OK, and Excel automatically have this for us. You can see. So now let's still go back to our sales data and let's come back to insert recommended tables, and you could see there are many other. You can see each one. This is count of order ID by the day of the week. So you may want to analyze how many orders do you have for each of the days. You can see here Excel already does that for you. If you really want this, all you need to do is just to click on OK, and then you could explore more. You can see here is sum of cost by customer ID and products. So this is also cool. If you want this at the same time, you're going to just click it and then it already appears here. So you can see, so it's a cell intelligence feature is really cool feature, which is one of which is the recommended table. Another feature is actually the analyze data. So you can see the analyze data is just imagine your ChatGPT in Excel. It's just all about you asking a question to your data and Excel automatically answer it for you. For instance, now it has some suggested questions, and which is percentage of total units sold for each product. And once you select this, Excel already have it your answer for you in form of a pivot chart. And if you want that as an answer, all you need to do is just to click insert, and then you're going to have this appearing. You can see, and then you can start customizing your chart easily. So this analyze data is really useful, and you could type your own questions to how much revenue was generated. You click, you enter, and then it tells you the total, and it gives you answers in form of pivot table and pivot chart. So that is another really cool feature or data analysis tool. And for the scope of this course, this is where we're going to stop when it comes to data analysis features and tools in Excel. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how to visualize data in Excel and how to create dashboards. So we're going to create charts and we're going to create dashboards from our charts. So see you in the next lesson. Thank you. Please leave a comment